Improving transit along Bathurst, dedicating a lane to streetcars' nightly closure, starting this week to make it happen. We have what you need to know to not get towed.
Speaking of Bathurst, a pedestrian has been hit at Bathurst and St. Clair. We have an update on his condition and details of what happened.
Well, ahead of Remembrance Day, thousands of flags have been placed outside the Manulife building on Bloor.
Also, winds up to 80 kilometers an hour are expected into the evening. We have more on the special weather statement from Environment Canada.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Phil Perkins.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, streetcar priority lanes are coming to a stretch of Bathurst. It's part of a transit overhaul aimed at speeding up service and one of the downtown's busiest corridors.
Yeah, let's go now to CP24's Arda Zakarian, who's on Bathurst right now. And people in Toronto love talking about getting around, and this could impede some people from doing that.
You know, there's pros and cons to everything. And if you ask anyone, they'd say, yeah, we want people to move faster, but is it going to impact businesses? Maybe, probably. You know, this is all in ahead of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Millions are going to come to our city. So this is also thinking ahead to that, moving people as quickly as possible. This is a stretch from Bathurst and Lakeshore all the way to Bloor, 3.4 kilometers long, and one of the lanes is going to be used strictly for streetcars and buses. So starting this evening, it's going to be just overnight work. They're going to start painting that road red. They're going to be adding in signs and then removing the old markings here. So along that whole stretch, it's going to be buses and streetcars as priority. Now, it's 2 lanes here. So one of the lanes is going to be used only for cars. Some people think that that's a great idea and some don't. Here are some people we spoke with.
I mean, it will probably improve commute times. I don't really care if drivers are upset because, like, it should be more of a commuter's priority. Drivers, they can just wait in their car. I don't know, like, especially in the winter time, you know? So, yeah.
More focus on transit.
More focus on transit, yeah.
I actually mostly just take the streetcar, like, for pleasure. I have to drive for my business, so this is just me doing errands. So, yeah, I hope it'll be faster because, you know, I feel like the transit wait times are really, really long post-pandemic, and I think that the wait is discouraging a lot of people from taking transit.
Earlier in the headlines, you said what you need to know so your car isn't towed. Well, don't park on Bathurst after 8 o'clock. If you do, your car will be towed, but it's called a friendly tow. It's just going to be moved to a nearby street. You can always call police at 416-808-2222 to find out exactly where your car is. The 511 streetcar will be replaced by buses from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. And then at 5 a.m., regular service will resume. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Arda. Still on this story, though, we're joined live by Paul Macchiusi, owner of Minerva Cannabis. That is a business on Bathurst, so directly affected by this change into, you know, the right-of-way of streetcars and buses. So tell us, you know, when you heard about this change for the FIFA World Cup, what were your thoughts?
Well, we've been going at this now for quite some time, since May. We've raised many points from the beginning that are negative about this entire project. The higher cost to taxpayers, the challenges with enforcement, the reduced road capacity, pushing vehicles to side streets, accessibility issues, if this program will even be effective based on ridership, if it doesn't increase, and of course the visual clutter and urban aesthetic decline that we're going to see on both Bathurst and Dufferin with red streets.
Okay, so along with that, you know, you voiced your concerns. Clearly, this went ahead. Do you think you actually stood a chance, or that this was just going to happen anyway?
Well, we didn't think we stood a chance whatsoever, to be totally honest with you. And the advocacy work that we did as a community really, I think, really shed a light on how well and how little time we had on what we did. Because without us speaking up, north of Bloor, these lanes would have been implemented. And to this day, we still don't know the results or any data that comes along with these lanes. Just for an example, on Dufferin, the red lanes are going to be in the curb lanes. has there been any studies or safety studies done to show how this is going to affect sidewalk encroachment, people walking on the sidewalks, or just how it's going to affect residents living along these main roads with their front doors on both Bathurst and Dufferin? And then it even goes into little things like what happens in the winter when a snowplow comes over and scrapes the red paint? Is there money to do maintenance? How much is that going to cost? How often will it have to happen? I mean, there's so many questions to be asked still, and honestly, so many issues within the TTC that need to be dealt with, instead of pointing the finger at the taxpayer saying, hey, here's a new project that we're going to ask you to pay for to help make our service a little bit more reliable.
Is there a part of you that thinks, though, if buses and streetcars do get basically an express lane, that more people will take it and then there'll be less cars on the road and potentially more people taking the streetcar by your business? Like, oh, I want to get some edibles before the game, before Canada plays in June.
Definitely. In theory, it all makes sense, but let's see if it works. And that I think is a ongoing theme with the changes that Toronto has been going through over the last year. In theory, a lot of the changes and a lot of what's been happening to our city makes sense, but the lived realities speak a totally different story, and only time will tell whether these red lanes are successful or not. And I hope the city makes the right decision following that data coming through and seeing how it actually works.
All right, Paul, we do appreciate your take on this, chatting with us in the last second. Just, because, as you mentioned, they make these changes, they put it out there, they put the nice presser, but then we don't actually hear from actual businesses along Bathurst to see how this actually affects them. So we do appreciate your time, and maybe we'll chat during the World Cup, see how business is doing.
Definitely. Thank you very much for today.
Of course.
And a man was rushed to hospital after being hit by a pickup truck. This happened at Bathurst in St. Clair.
Yeah, around 6:45 this morning, the 49-year-old was crossing the street. Paramedics say that he was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver involved remained at the scene, and the police investigation is ongoing.
It's 5:07. Let's get a check on the evening commute with CP24 traffic specialist Angela Nsiaya-Bois.
Well, definitely make sure that full lighting system is on if you're headed towards the Don Valley Parkway North, but you're also going to need a whole lot of patience. This is because of this major problem happening on the northbound lanes of the Don Valley Parkway on the approach to Bayview Bloor. Still, those two left lanes blocked to this collision, only the right lane getting by. So as you try to make your way home from work, it's going to take you quite the while. It's very slow, right on off the Gardner up towards those problems. Been suggesting the Bayview extension is an alternative. It is probably your best bet. Finally, some good news on the 401 if you're traveling on the eastbound side. Still slows 427 all the way out towards the Leslie stretch. We had problems long-standing in the Express. It was a collision involving two transport. It just cleared away about moments ago. And if you're traveling towards the Gardner, no issues. Busy exiting the downtown core this hour from York Bay Yonge. Everything seems to open up once you pass about Royal York. On city streets, still watching a collision on River and Gerrard. I'll send it back to you.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
All right, Adjo, thank you very much. Well, a special weather statement remains in effect for Toronto and the GTA because of the strong gusty winds.
Environment Canada says wind gusts, they could reach 70 to 80 kilometers into this evening. This as a cold front moves through the region, potentially leading to power outages. The wind is expected to ease during the overnight.
It is 5:08, 9 degrees, windy. Watching live at 5.
Closer look next. Police have released a rendering of a person found dead near Spadina subway station with hopes of identifying them.
Yeah, investigators are hoping someone will recognize the person in this image. They were found in late April. Coroner says that their death isn't considered to be suspicious. They're believed to be 40 to 55 years old, 5'3", 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. They're wearing a black and white T-shirt with a Nike Air Max logo on the front, gray pants, gray Crocs, and a beaded bracelet that reads, "You belong." Investigators believe they may have ties to London, Ontario.
Well, foul play is rather suspected in the disappearance of a 25-year-old from Kitchener.
Eli Wood has been missing since October 19th. The same day, a fire ripped through a home where they lived on Major Street. Police have since determined the fire was deliberately set. Wood is around 4'10", 100 pounds. They have a flower and a seahorse tattoo on their left forearm and a rainbow tattoo on their right bicep. If you have any information on Wood's disappearance, you're asked to contact Waterloo Police.
Well, the Ford government's limiting debate and skipping public hearings on a bill which would make it easier for the education minister to take control of school boards, as well as allow for more police officers in schools.
The Supporting Children and Students Act includes provisions that will allow Paul Calandra to step in on matters deemed of public interest and allow for more supervisors to be appointed to boards. Calandra has already put 5 school boards under supervision, including the Toronto District School Board and the Toronto Catholic District School Board.
One of the first news conferences I said to not only boards that are in deficit positions, but those boards that are in a surplus position. Govern yourselves accordingly. Put more money back into the classroom. Support teachers in delivering a quality education. And if you don't, I'm going to step in. Bill 33 allows me to do that. The 5 boards that I have under supervision highlight the need for Bill 33.
This is it's an affront to it's an affront to democracy, right? Like, people should have a right to be heard. And what this government is doing is they're fast-tracking bills and not having hearings where folks who would be impacted have an opportunity to come and provide their perspective. They want to rush it through because they're afraid of what folks are going to say, that they have concerns about this legislation. They're not interested in listening to people and to regular people. They're just pushing this legislation through.
Well, the Ford government also fast-tracked 3 other bills last month.
Well, a Toronto Remembrance Day tradition is back for another year along Bloor Street.
A school choir opened the ceremony in front of Manulife's global headquarters. Each year since 2015, thousands of Canadian flags have adorned the front lawn of the building, with each flag honoring 10 fallen Canadian soldiers. This year, more than 12,000 Canadian flags have been planted on the lawn.
It's important for us to remember where the country's been, and that informs where we're going. As we heard earlier today, just being able to pass on the values and the purpose and the collective direction that the entire country's been fighting for both the world wars during Korea and most recently in Afghanistan. And being able to uphold the Canadian values that all of those who served hold dear and hope to see pursued into the future.
It's very important, and as you can see, the 12,000 flags today, each one of these flags actually represent 10 fallen soldiers from our Canadian Armed Forces. And it's been really good for us to come together as a community to remember and to reflect on the sacrifices that made and the soldiers that were fallen on our behalf. And so it's been really amazing. And for us as Manulife, as a Canadian company and headquartered here in Toronto, it's really amazing for us to uphold that values.
Well, the display will be out in front of the Bloor Street headquarters until sundown on November 11th.
And the lead up to Remembrance Day is being marked with a special nightly display downtown.
Here's a live look at Old City Hall, where images are going to be projected on the side of the building. We are facing Nathan Phillips Square now, and there we are. That is Old City Hall, if you're unaware. It also shows the history of the Toronto Cenotaph. That'll be posted on the side. The commemorative lighting display begins tonight and will be shown every night between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. until Remembrance Day.
It's 5:15, 9 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, check this out. Home sales and prices down last month amid economic uncertainty. We'll take a closer look at the numbers next. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney is trying to sell his budget to opposition MPs and Canadians.
And Carney talked about the budget at an event in Ottawa this morning. This is before attending the Liberal caucus meeting. He says the budget has been built to meet a crucial time of global trade disruption and deep divisions. The budget includes nearly $90 billion in net new spending over 5 years. It'll have to survive a confidence vote to pass.
It's estimated that U.S. tariffs and the uncertainty that they're creating will cost us around 1.8% of our GDP. Let me translate that. That's about $50 billion lost from our economy, or the equivalent of $1,300 for every Canadian. Now, while we can't control what the U.S. does, we can decide what happens here. This is Canada. And we can build the future we want for ourselves. We can get that money back and more.
Josh Morgan, the Mayor of London and the Chair of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Big City Mayors Caucus, says it's important the federal budget recognizes the importance of municipal infrastructure, although he adds it needs to go further.
It's really incredible that both levels of government are saying that they're going to commit infrastructure dollars. In our opinion, it's just not quite enough to meet all of our collective goals yet. So I think this is a great start. We're certainly happy to continue to engage with all levels of government to support their goals and build really strong communities, build Canadian resiliencies in our cities and communities, and ultimately build the housing that we know we need in this country.
The federal budget promises new legislation to accelerate development of the ALTO high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City. It comes after Prime Minister Carney announced in September that the government would speed up engineering and regulatory work to get construction underway within 4 years. The ALTO would take passengers from Montreal to Toronto in just 3 hours on trains traveling up to 300 kilometers an hour. The budget also says ALTO will be subject to the new Buy Canadian policy to ensure use of domestic suppliers.
In the meantime, Ontario's finance minister says the Carney government's budget isn't transformational and lacks ambition. Bethan Falvey believes the infrastructure spending still not enough.
The province has been asking for $100 billion over 10 years. Excuse me. All finance ministers across Canada have been asking for the same thing. We're building in Ontario $200 billion of infrastructure over 10 years. Every province is facing the same thing. Their number was $50 billion, of which $21 billion had already been being repurposed as through the gas tax fund. So it's really only $30 billion net new. If you think about that's over 10 years, that's $3 billion. If we're 40%, that's $1.2 billion against our spend of infrastructure, which is about $25 billion a year. So it falls really short there.
Ontario is set to deliver the fall economic statement tomorrow. In May, the province unveiled a $232 billion budget aimed at protecting the economy from tariffs. The budget, which grew the deficit to an estimated $14.6 billion for 2025-26, had included billions of dollars for shoring up various programs aimed at protecting jobs, industries, and workers.
Well, check this out. Home sales and prices in the region down in October as economic uncertainty persists.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says there were just over 6,100 home sales, down 9.5% from last year. New listings topped 16,000, up 2.7% from last year, while the 27,800 active listings marked an increase of 17%. The average selling price of nearly $1,055,000, that was down 7% from 2024. Treb says lower home prices and interest rates are helping buyers.
Now we broke down the numbers with Jason Mercer, Chief Investment Officer at the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board.
All else being equal, we would have expected to see more people sort of moving off the sidelines and back into the market. But on the other side of the coin, obviously we have a lot of economic uncertainty. I mean, the budget came out yesterday. That whole budget was sort of pointed at, this trade relationship that's eroded with the United States and some other countries and how we're going to overcome that. And I think there's still a lot of, GTA households and really households across the country that are saying, look, I need to see where I stand vis-a-vis this economic situation before I commit to, what amounts for most people the largest purchase they make.
Royal LePage Signature Realty sales rep Tom Shorey says many buyers are nervous. They're waiting to see if prices keep dropping while also considering other factors.
Interest rates are what we focus on most because that's what's going to make a difference on what your monthly payment's going to be. But the only way you get approved for a mortgage is by having a job. So I think job security is the number one factor for most potential buyers. And if there's any hesitation, if maybe I'm not going to have this income in the next 6 months, a lot of them are deciding we're not going to buy right now. We're going to rent for the short term or stay in our situation.
Trump expects the market to rebound once people are more confident about the economy.
It's 5:22, 9 degrees. This is Live at 5.
You may have noticed a lot of children in your workplace today. That's because today is Take Your Kids to Work Day. Whoa, that's not me. Who's that? Look at the lettuce. Look at the lettuce. What's up, Max?
Broadcast on recording outside of the Vancouver Olympics in 2010.
Game 7 of the World Series was one of the most watched MLB game globally in 34 years.
Pretty wild. 51 million viewers tuned in on Saturday night in Canada, the U.S., and Japan. The series overall drew an average of 34 million people. That's the biggest audience since 1992. We all know what happened that year. And an increase of 19% over last year's Fall Classic here in Canada. Game 7 drew nearly 12 million viewers, making it the most watched English language broadcast on record outside of the Vancouver Olympics in 2010.
And the World Series run, it was also a big win for local restaurants, according to new data from Monaris. It found restaurant spending near the stadium for Game 6. It climbed 20% week over week. And that's not the only jump in spending. The amount of the average bill and also rose 14%. By Game 7, anticipation was at its peak, with spending near the Rogers Center up more than 26%, and the average transaction size, that was up 9%.
And this will get people jacked up for next year. Already, Blue Jays starting pitcher Shane Bieber staying in Toronto. Bieber exercising his $16 million player option for 2026 last night. We broke it here on CP24, actually. After falling just one game short of capturing his first ever World Series title, Bieber will opt into another year. Also gets a $6 million pay raise. Could have gotten a lot more in the open market, so it says something. 30-year-old right-hander missed the first several months of last season while working his way back from Tommy John surgery. Jays traded for him anyways. He made 7 regular season starts and posted a 3.57 ERA.
Well, Andrew Zuber, co-host of Less Than Jays podcast, says that Bieber staying is somewhat of a surprise.
For sure, it's a big deal. It may not heal the entire wound, but I'll tell you, it was certainly unexpected. You can find places that had Shane Bieber projected to make 5 years, $150 million on his next contract. It seemed like a bit of a foregone conclusion he was going to opt out. This is a former Cy Young winning pitcher, former best pitcher in the league that is coming off Tommy John, and $16 million is not that much money for a middle of the rotation type arm. So it certainly is a mood lifter. I think if you were online late last night when this news hit, you saw quite a few Jays fans sort of having that spring back in their step and a bit of a smile back on the face.
And baseball fans and collectors can get their hands on items used in this year's World Series. Major League Baseball auctioning off several collectibles from balls to jerseys and locker room nameplates. Well, one marquee item up for grabs is the ball from Shohei Ohtani's first World Series strikeout, where he got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. swinging in the first inning of Game 4. I don't know what Blue Jay fan would want that.
Okay, so Phil.
Yeah.
Today is Take Your Kid to Work Day, and here at CP24, that meant more than just sitting in the anchor chair. So there was somebody else who was here besides you.
Someone besides you, you're cheating on me.
Happens.
That's the biz. What's his name?
Max.
Oh, good name.
He had a chance to deliver the news live on air. Can you do this?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's watch.
Here in Canada, Game 7 drew nearly 12 million viewers, making it the most watched English language broadcast on recording outside of the Vancouver Olympics in 2010.
Oh my God, Max. I think you just hit a home run, my man. Let's get a round of applause. The control room. Y'all can join in too. Thank you very much. Way to go, Max. How'd that feel?
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You going to share some of your lunch with me? I saw you had a whole bunch on your desk.
Maybe, yeah.
It's pretty good. Does that cold read too? That's pretty good. I'm also in favor of the relaxed anchor attire.
Yeah.
I'm all about hoodies on the air. If they can adopt, that'd be great. Take Kids Work Day is an opportunity to help students think about their career paths by sharing a typical day at work. And for Yubakar, that always includes a big lunch. I mean, look at our Adonis bodies. We got to fuel it with protein.
Here's the thing. He had a plate full of fries on his desk. You know how much I love French fries. He didn't share one with me this time, but he has before. So,
Max.
Gotta get and Max had a round of applause from the control. Have you gotten a round of applause?
No, I get a wrap it up a lot. I get that.
Happens. It's 5:29, 9 degrees. This is Live at 5.
All right, we're live at Bathurst, where work is starting tonight to install priority streetcar lanes between Bathurst and Lakeshore. We'll have reaction coming up. Improving transit along Bathurst, dedicating a lane to streetcars. Nightly closures starting this week to make it happen. We have what you need to know to not get your vehicle towed.
And a pedestrian has been hit at Bathurst and St. Clair. We have an update on his condition and details of what exactly happened.
And ahead of Remembrance Day, thousands of flags have been placed outside of the Manulife building on Bloor.
But winds up to 80 kilometers an hour. They're expected into the evening. And we're going to have more on the special weather statement. This is from Environment Canada.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Phil Perkins. Thanks for watching Live at 5. Our top story, a man fighting for his life after being hit by a pickup truck at Bathurst and St. Clair.
Let's go live to CTV's Janice Golding, who joins us from the scene. Janice.
Hi, Bakari. Yes, we are told that the suspect, or rather the victim, who is 49 years old, is still in hospital fighting for his life in life-threatening condition. The accident happened at around 6:42 this morning, and as you can imagine, it caused major traffic backups for about 5 hours. TTC was rerouted, streetcars as well as buses, so commuters were quite upset, telling us that they were running late for work. A 49-year-old man was crossing northbound in the intersection on the west side when he was struck by an oncoming Dodge Ram pickup driven by a 65-year-old man who remained on scene. The victim was taken to hospital in serious condition, life-threatening injuries. We do not know exactly what precipitated the accident or if the victim was actually in the crosswalk at the time, but I can tell you that people we spoke to in the neighborhood were quite put off, and they tell us that there have been a number of accidents in the area, and they often feel that their lives are at risk. People getting very frustrated, people honking at them, not paying attention, and they say that it has long been an area that has been in need for updates with regard to traffic safety.
Interesting. All right, that is Janice Golding, CTV Toronto. Thanks so much. We appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 5:33. Let's get a check on the road to CP24 traffic specialist Ajwa Nziayabois.
Yeah, Bakari, problems keep popping up on the major routes, and another issue making for an even slower drive on the southbound lanes of the 404. This is on the approach to Shepherd. It's a multi-vehicle collision. It does look like it's the two left lanes that are blocked, and it is. Emergency crews arrived on scene and blocked that additional lane. So if you're coming south on the 404, quickly creating a delay from before Steeles, then onto the northbound Don Valley Parkway. Heaviest off the Gardiner. You get a little bit of relief just north of Bayview Bloor. That's because on the approach to Bayview Bloor, ongoing long-standing collision, still in the two left lanes, just that single right lane continues to get by. And if you're using the 401, finally checking in problem-free. A busy go still as you navigate across the top of the city and continue further east if you're traveling in towards Durham. On city streets, it looks like we are dealing with a collision brand new on Royal York and Eglinton. I'll send it back to you both.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's talk about traffic on Bathurst specifically. Streetcar priority lanes are coming to a stretch at Bathurst as part of a transit overhaul aiming at speeding up service in one of the downtown's busiest corridors.
Let's go live to CP24's Arda Sakarian, who's along Bathurst. Arda.
This is all part of RapidTO and also thinking ahead to the 2026 FIFA World Cup when millions of people will be coming to our city. Just in light of that, moving people faster and quicker across the city. So what's going to happen is each way on Bathurst, there's two lanes. One of those lanes is going to be just for streetcars and buses. Tonight, starting overnight, there's going to be construction work to paint those lanes red, to remove and put some of the signs and new signals up, to remove the old markings that are on the street. And this is a stretch from Bathurst and Lakeshore all the way to Bloor, 3.4 kilometers. It was going to stretch all the way to Eglinton, but then business owners there said, wait a minute, let's not do this. It's going to really impede on our business, on the ability for vehicles to park and come to our businesses. So they changed it. They said, okay, we're going to do Lakeshore and Bathurst to Bloor. So this stretch, and it's all in an effort to get people moving in this city faster. But some people are not for this. They say that it's really going to hurt their businesses because you're not going to be able to park on Bathurst at all. Here's more from some people we spoke with.
I don't think so, because I find that when I drive, when you're stuck inside of the streetcar, everyone's trying to go on the right and pass them anyways. And I feel like if everyone just has their own spot, I think it moves faster. And I think it'll also encourage people to actually take transit as well, because they'll also have their own lane and they won't get backed up in traffic.
I think it's a good idea because of safety, generally speaking. I don't know, whenever I use the streetcar, I always get a little scared when I'm leaving the streetcar. I know that like this specific one has the little area that you can step into, but other ones don't. I think they should do that with all of them.
So here's what you should do in order for you not to get towed during this process, because it's only going to happen during the overnight hours. Don't park on Bathurst Street after 8 p.m. If you do, your car will be friendly towed. That means they will tow it, but just to a nearby street. And if you come outside and wonder, where's my car? Then you can always call police at 416-808-2222, and they'll tell you where they moved your vehicle. But in the meantime, during 9 p.m. until 2 a.m., the 511 streetcar will actually not operate. They'll actually have buses instead. However, regular service will resume at 5 a.m. in the morning. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Art. I appreciate that. We'll see how this plays out specifically next June during the World Cup. Also, you can probably see it through Arta's hair. Special weather statement remains because of strong gusty winds.
Environment Canada says that wind gusts could reach up to 80 kilometers. That's going to be into this evening. This as a cold front moves through the region, potentially leading to power outages. The wind is expected to ease during the overnight hours.
5:38, 9 degrees. You're watching Toronto's Breaking News, CP24, live at 5.
And for the 9th month in a row, home prices fell. We're going to take a closer look at the numbers next.
Welcome back. Home sales and prices in the region down last month as economic uncertainty continues.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says that there were just over 6,100 home sales. That's down 9.5% from last year. New listings topped 16,000, up 2.7% from last year. While the 27,800 active listings, they marked an increase of 17%. The average selling price of nearly $1,055,000. That was down 7% from 2024. Treb says lower home prices and interest rates are helping buyers.
And we spoke to Jason Mercer with Treb about yesterday's budget as well and what that could mean for housing in the GTA.
Thinking about, down the road, the population continues to grow in the GTA.
Yeah.
And people are going to require, housing on a year in, year out basis. And so, we've seen record lows in terms of, new home construction, new home sales over the last year. Down the road, that's going to cause a bit of a lull, right? And we can get back into that vicious circle where there's not enough housing to meet demand. So I think by and large, any policy pointed towards housing and the housing sector is a positive.
A Royal LePage Signature Realty sales rep, Tom Story, says that many buyers are nervous and they're waiting to see if prices keep dropping while also considering other factors.
Truly, the cost of ownership has changed more, arguably, in the last 6 months than any other point because interest rates and prices have dropped at the same time. If interest rates go up again and prices drop, well, the cost of owning on a monthly basis is kind of going to be the same. This is what we want. We want both to happen at the same time to actually make things more affordable. But there will become a point in time where interest rates bottom out and prices bottom out. The big question is when exactly is that going to happen?
And Trump expects the market to rebound once people are a little bit more confident about the economy.
Well, speaking of the economy, food industry experts, they're warning that the price of chicken could go up over the next several months.
A lot of consumers are looking for different sources of protein, and there's just no Canadian chicken. Supplies are really low.
Yeah, poultry costs could rise by as much as 20 to 25% in the next coming months. Demand for chicken is up, leading to low supply. Experts say that the government needs to allow more products into the market to offset the Canadian supply challenges.
Well, the Ford government is limiting debate and skipping public hearings on a bill which will make it easier for the education minister to take control of school boards as well as allow for more police officers in schools.
The Supporting Children and Students Act includes provisions that allow Paul Calandra to step in on matters deemed of public interest and allow for more supervisors to be appointed to boards. Calandra has already put 5 school boards under supervision, including the TDSB and the Toronto Catholic District School Board.
Under the rules that I have right now, it is very difficult for a Minister of Education to step in to put a school or a school board back on track. Bill 33 allows me to do it, and that's why I'm very appreciative of the House Leader for understanding the need to expedite that and allow it to pass.
This government has never been shy about fast-tracking legislation. They've even changed the rules of the legislature to allow themselves to push legislation through even faster than they were before. So, look, they will do anything to get what they want at the expense of democracy, at the expense of Ontarians who won't get a chance to have their voices heard.
Ford government also fast-tracked 3 other bills last month.
It's 5:44, 9 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Up ahead, the minority Liberals are one seat closer to a majority government after a Conservative MP from Nova Scotia crossed the floor.
Global Affairs says that a Canadian is one of 7 people killed in an avalanche in Nepal's Himalayas.
Their bodies have begun arriving in the capital of Kathmandu. Monday's avalanche rocked base camp at Mount Yalangri, located at 4,900 meters. Storms prevented rescuers from reaching the site until yesterday. 8 climbers were also injured. A spokesperson for Global Affairs says Canadian officials are in contact with local authorities to gather more information.
Well, the scramble is well underway to get aid to hurricane-ravaged Jamaica, as well as other parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah, Hurricane Melissa has become the most powerful storm on record to hit the island and one of the strongest seen in the Caribbean. The death toll is near 30 now. Power is out in huge parts of the island, and it could be months before it's restored. Canadians, especially of Jamaican descent, are on the ground trying to help out. Brampton's gold medal Olympic champion Brendan Rodney is among them. He says many are in need of clean water, personal hygiene items. Rodney says the country is pulling together to get through this tragedy.
You know what? Jamaica's really big on that resilience, entertainment, having fun, making jokes out of bad things, and that's just something they do. So, even though they're going through tough times, they're going to sit together, come together, have conversations, pray, make jokes, and try to still have a good time because, even though you're suffering, one of the greatest things is that you have life, and from you have life, you can rebuild, you can gain back what you had and things like that. So, we just take it, everybody's just taking it one step at a time.
And other areas of the Caribbean also felt Melissa's wrath. Haiti's government has said the death toll is up to 43. 13 others are still missing.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney is trying to sell his budget to opposition MPs and Canadians.
Hey, Carney spoke about the budget at an event in Ottawa this morning. This is before attending the Liberal caucus meeting. He says that the budget has been built to meet a crucial time of global trade disruption and deep divisions. The budget includes nearly $90 billion in net new spending over 5 years. It'll have to survive a confidence vote to pass.
We'll build new roads and bridges so you can get to where you want to go more easily, and our products can move more quickly. And we will modernize our buses and trains that connect our communities, like the O trains right behind me. We'll provide federal funding to help build and revitalize Canada's hospitals so you can get the care that you need. In too many of our communities, the hospitals were built in the 1970s, and they're now serving twice the population they were designed for. So we're going to deploy $5 billion to build more emergency departments and new urgent care centers.
Morgan, the Mayor of London, Ontario, and the Chair of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Big City Mayors Caucus says it's important the federal budget recognizes the importance of municipal infrastructure, although he adds that it needs to go even further.
Long-term, stable municipal funding that supports us is critical because I can tell you the way that the municipal finances are structured in this country, built on a system that is 150 years old, does not work to build modern communities anymore. We need a stable, long-term funding structure that is of sufficient amount to achieve all of our goals.
The federal budget promises new legislation to accelerate development of the ALTO high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City. It comes after Prime Minister Carney announced in September that the government would speed up engineering and regulatory work to get construction underway within 4 years. The ALTO would take passengers from Montreal to Toronto in just 3 hours on trains traveling up to 300 kilometers an hour. The budget also says ALTO will be subject to the new Buy Canadian policy to ensure use of domestic suppliers.
And the minority Liberals are also now one seat closer to a majority government after a Conservative MP from Nova Scotia crossed the floor. Chris D'Entremont says that the budget better reflects the priorities of his riding. He walked into today's Liberal caucus meeting with the Prime Minister and was welcomed with open arms. He spoke earlier today about his decision and was asked to respond to criticism from Conservative MPs.
I think they should look at themselves and see if they're offering the right thing to Canadians of trying to build for the world. I mean, we have a great opportunity here in Canada, and rather than knocking people down, we should try to find ways to work together.
And the move brings the Liberals within 2 seats of a majority. Now, when asked if he knows of any other MPs willing to cross the floor, Don says that he, quote, would suggest that there probably are those that are in the same boat.
It's 5:52, 9 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
And coming up, Cineplex is launching a new program for moviegoers it describes as adventurous.
All right.
Well, Cineplex is launching a new weekly event. This is aimed at more adventurous moviegoers.
What does that even mean? Film buffs can buy a ticket for Monday surprise premiere, but they won't know which new release they'll be seeing until the lights go down. It's a new take on secret screenings, which have been featured at film festivals and indie theaters for decades. The new program aims to draw audiences back into big theaters, especially on weekdays. A recent study commissioned by Telefilm found that movie theater attendance in Canada has dropped by an average of 46% in the last 5 years. Monday surprise premieres will start on November 10th, and ticket prices are just $8.99. But what if it's a scary movie? Well, I'll just walk out. I'm not watching that.
Well, the official FIFA World Cup 2026 mascots, they were formally introduced in Toronto today.
Maple the Moose represents Canada. Zayu the Jaguar represents Mexico. And Clutch the Bald Eagle represents the U.S. The trio appeared at Nathan Phillips Square to greet fans and pose for photos. Canada's men's national team and TFC legend Dwayne De Rosario was also on hand, which comes with the tournament set to kick off in just a matter of months.
I just can't wait. I'm counting down that clock and counting down seconds. I got my calendar scratched off and marked off. And it's going to be a truly remarkable experience, a great time for not only soccer to come to Toronto and to grace Canada, but also for us to showcase our passion and our rich diversity and how much we're passionate about the game as well and showcase that to the world.
And Canada's men's national team is going to play its opening match in Toronto, June 12th.
It's going to be wild. In the meantime, the Maple Leafs are looking for their third win in a row when they host the Utah Mammoth tonight at Scotiabank.
Robertson powers out, gets two, and what a save! The rebound.
The Leafs had a spectacular come-from-behind win over the Penguins. This was Monday. Toronto was down 3-0 heading into the third period, but scored 4 unanswered goals to beat Pittsburgh 4-3. Puck drop tonight. It's at 7 o'clock.
And the Leafs have now sent forward Easton Cowan to the Toronto Marlies after appearing in 10 games this season. He's only 20 years old. He put up 4 points in his brief stint with the big club, including his first NHL goal, which came Saturday against the Flyers. In a corresponding move, the Leafs activated Scott Laughton off the injured reserve. He is expected to make his season debut tonight.
Well, Prince Harry is in Toronto for a 2-day visit to attend events supporting veterans and the military. This is all ahead of Remembrance Day.
The office of the Duke of Sussex says that he's making the trip at the invitation of the True Patriot Love Foundation, which supports Canadian military members, veterans, and their families. Harry has several engagements today, including a fundraiser for the Halo Trust. That is a UK-based charity that helps clear explosives around the world. He is also set to meet some of Canada's oldest veterans at Sunnybrook Hospital's Veterans Centre tomorrow, and will then attend a dinner organized by the True Patriot Love in support of the military community.
And a Toronto Remembrance Day tradition is back for another year along Bloor Street.
School choir opened up the ceremony in front of the Manulife Centre each year since 2015. Thousands of Canadian flags have adorned the front lawn of the building, with each flag honoring 10 fallen Canadian soldiers. Now, this year, more than 12,000 Canadian flags have been planted on the lawn, so do the math.
We have Canadians in uniform protecting the country on operations all around the world, every minute of every day. And I think, sometimes it's easy to forget that in a place like this. We don't see people in uniform every day in downtown Toronto, but it's worthwhile taking that minute to recall that we do have people, particularly in the Navy, on ships, on operations, all over the world, and that's a level of dedication we've been able to sustain for a very long time to meet our commitments to our partners, to our allies.
Absolutely. Given our presence in Toronto, we're a global headquartered in Toronto, and the heritage of Manulife as a company, it's very important for us to, and we serve 1 in 4 Canadians through our as customers, and so it's really important, and it's a sense of pride for us as well.
And the display will be out in front of the Bloor Street headquarters until sundown, November 11th.
It is 5:59, 9 degrees. You're watching Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
A special weather statement issued by Environment Canada. It is in effect for Toronto, warning of gusty winds up to 80 kilometers. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.